Okay, with Ben Harl, Mara is the short film, played at the Horror Film Festival. It's 18 minutes long. I like your background. It's like you can tell that you're a filmmaker. You got the camera, you got
Oh,
the lighting box, right? You got images in the background. Are those all yours back in the
yeah,
back?
they are. Yeah, yeah. I'm also an amateur photographer too.
Or maybe a professional photographer. I'm sure you can see,
You
right?
have to get paid to be a professional. I haven't been paid for my photos yet, so.
Oh, can I have, what is that? I'll have it for $1. Then you're professional. The one
Oh,
before.
which one? Which
I'll
one are you
pay for
looking at?
shipping. Oh, I see Rome. I see the Colosseum.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about the this horror film. It's really interesting. It's there's a really in-depth story. It can kind of mix genres, but you consider it a horror?
No, actually, I kind of consider it more of like a horror thriller,
Yeah,
more like a
I would think it's
psychological
more of a
kind of
thriller
film.
than a horror, right? But it still is a horror, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
So,
Go ahead.
no, go, please go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say, so tell me about the concept. Is like kind of coming up with this idea, exorcism, like it's it's been done before, but not in this unique way that you did it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I just like you said, exorcism's been done a bunch, and it's been done by a lot of really, really high quality filmmakers. But it occurred to me one day that we always hear about the exorcisms themselves, but we don't really hear too much about the aftermath. What happens to people after they've survived an exorcism? So I really wanted to visit a character that had went through an exorcism earlier in their life and kind of revisit where they were at several years later, to see pretty much whether or not the exorcism stuck. And I think the film kind of gives away the answer on, how well or not so well the exorcism actually worked.
Hey, so did you do any research on this? Is there any research at all to find on this?
I mean, we did a little bit of research basically into psychosis, multiple personality disorder, things like that, just to kind of see where the similarities lie between, people who actually claim exorcism from a spiritual perspective, but then also the way that it's considered clinically, by psychiatrists, psychologists, things of that nature. So, yeah, we did do a little bit of research into those comparisons between, people who consider people who are kind of quote possessed, whether or not it's psychosis or whether it's spiritual.
Gotcha. So is there a bigger story here, or is it just kind of like a standalone short film? Because I can see a bigger kind of film.
Yeah,
Like,
so there is a little bit of a bigger story
yeah.
involved with this. So we kind of shot this. I don't want to say we shot it as a proof of concept necessarily. I mean, we did shoot it as a short film, but of course, there's a lot more story that could be told with this. Of
Mhm.
course, as you've seen the film, you know that we did do some brief glimpses into the character's past, into Jake's past, but there's still a lot of meat on the bone, so to speak, when it comes to his past and the things that he went through. There's a lot of area where we could explore, also in his present day, relationships that he's making through work or through social events, and how impossible it seems for somebody in his mental state to be able to form those relationships. So yeah, I think there's still a lot of meat on the bone there that could be explored. So yeah, this could kind of serve as a proof of concept for possibly a feature film or maybe some kind of a sequel or something. I mean, we have thought about that, but we wanted to see how well it was received in the film festival circuit before we really kind of put pen to paper, so to speak, to kind of flesh that story out.
Gotcha. And so tell me about like just kind of putting the film together as like a you're obviously you wrote the script, you directed it, you produced it, you're wearing a
Yeah.
lot of hats in terms of getting the
Yeah.
film put together, right? Like I mean, I'm assuming you had experiences that you've done previous shorts in the past.
Yeah, so I've done several previous short films in the past. I've also shot a couple of feature documentaries, and I've shot a little bit of feature film stuff, and I've done a lot of work with other filmmakers local to me as well on feature films. I live in Central Illinois, and actually, believe it or not, we have a very robust film community here in the Midwest, especially in Central Illinois. And there's a lot of horror films that get filmed in this area too, believe it or not. And so we just have a really strong network of people who are very experienced, very creative, and very eager to kind of help each other out when it comes to the filmmaking process.
And so, but is Chicago kind of like your big sister, or like is it like are you guys close to there? Or I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
I mean, we're pretty close to Chicago. The biggest benefit we get from Chicago actually are Chicago has a huge amount of really talented actors and
Yeah.
actresses that we can pull from. As far as crew, of course, the Chicago crew are second to none. They're absolutely amazing, but due to cost restraints, mostly we work with local people here. And again, we have a very robust film community here in Central Illinois, and so we usually rely on each other more than anything. I live about an hour away from Springfield, Illinois, the capital of Illinois, and that has a really good, robust film community. I have some friends of mine that work there, and then in the exact opposite direction, about an hour away, is Champaign, Illinois. It's a big college town, and there are some extraordinary filmmakers that live in that market as well. And then I'm kind of in between the both, so I have the benefit of being able to pull from both sides, and it not be too much for travel when it comes to crew.
So in terms of your cast, obviously your lead guy is obviously very important. Like, where did you find your cast?
Yeah, so Seth Boyer, I worked with him on an anthology feature that got released. A friend of mine and I worked on an anthology together, along with a few other directors. That's actually out on streaming now. But I had worked with Seth on that. He auditioned for it, and actually I had worked with him on a feature film prior as well. So I got to know him a little bit. Wonderful actor. And he was the one of the primary characters in the anthology, and he did such a great job. I thought, I really, and that was more of a horror comedy, and just through getting to know him, he really expressed some interest in wanting to dive into some characters that are a little bit more on the emotional side, or the troubled, haunted side. And so of course I had this script, and I thought of him, and so reached out to him. He auditioned, and he absolutely killed it. And then Mindy Smith, she's a local actress that lives around the Champaign area, and she's absolutely fantastic too. She's done several plays. I've seen her in several short films over the course of her career, and she's done absolutely terrific. And then Catherine Bokenkamp, she's been in several of my short films. I
Okay.
actually reached out to her. She's the young lady that plays Mara in
I
it.
was gonna say you gave her the title
Yeah.
role. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I've worked with her on several short films. She's worked on a couple of features locally as well. Highly talented actress. I've become very good friends with her, so it was kind of a no-brainer to invite her in to play this role, because she just has that element to her where she can just pull from deep within somehow, and really actually just play these characters with a lot of breadth. And then, of course, we also had people who played in the exorcism scenes. Not to try to
Yeah.
give too much of the film away, but the exorcism scenes. We had Rick Jensen, which I've worked with on a couple of things before. Again, wonderful actor. I think he's fairly new to acting. I think he's only been acting for a few years. He kind of found it late in life, but absolutely wonderful actor. And then the young lady who plays Jake's mother in the exorcism scene is my lovely wife.
Oh
So
wow. Okay.
yeah, we had to age her up a bit, and we had to put a gray wig on her head. But hey, there's nothing like using free talent, And my wife's been a huge supporter of mine throughout my film career, and so anytime I get an opportunity to give her a little bit of something to do in a film, she's always game and ready to do it. And it's a lot of fun when you get to work with your friends and family.
So Seth has the lead actor has a lot to do. And like the first half of the film really is him talking to the psychiatrist, or he's by himself, right? So
Yeah,
he's acting like in the mirror, he's kind of like going through emotions, he cries, like I'm just hitting the bullet points, right?
sure. Yeah.
There's more to it than that, but I'm just hitting the bullet points of like he's going through a lot, like there's a lot going on. And how did you guys prepare for him doing that role? Did you guys do some rehearsals? I'm just curious about the process.
Yeah, so yeah, we did do a couple of rehearsals. We had a lot of really good, deep conversations about character motivation, things like that. Um, and he kind of, I know he told me he prepared for that role by spending a couple of weeks kind of putting himself into a pretty poor mental state, so to speak. Listening to the right music, eating the right kind of foods, things like that, which I think really helped him out quite a bit. So that whole we shot it over a 4 day weekend, and that whole weekend he was very subdued. He's a very jovial, friendly person, but that whole weekend that we shot, very professional, but he just kind of kept himself in that state. And kind of saved it for in front of the camera. Very very dedicated actor. We did, I always block and rehearse every scene just to make sure that we're getting everything that we want to get. But there's a lot of collaboration, especially with actors that I've worked with in the past. We kind of learn each other's paces. We
Mhm.
learn from each other. We learn what the expectations are. And so with people like Seth and Catherine that I've worked with on a few different projects, I kind of know what to expect from them. They kind of know what to expect from me. And so it's really easy for us to kind of shorthand conversations, so to speak. So I'll give a little bit of direction, and before I can even finish the sentence, they're saying, "Yeah, I got it. I know exactly what you mean. Let's give it another take." Or vice versa. They'll come to me with ideas, and again, it's collaborative. They'll come to me with ideas, maybe slight changes in dialogue or slight changes in action. And of course, I always want to be open and willing to hear what other people's kind of thoughts and ideas are on how to make a film and how to make a film better. And so again, with these people that you work with a lot, you get this kind of shorthand conversation where as soon as Seth starts to give me ideas, or Catherine, or even Mindy, or anybody, or Rick, or my wife for that matter, any of them, they start giving me some ideas, and before they even finish, I kind of know where they're going, and then we do a quick rehearsal with maybe those alterations, and then we'll shoot it. I usually like to get the original dialogue or the original action shot first, and then we'll go through and maybe take another take with some of those different ideas.
Yeah.
That way we have a little bit of some options to choose from once we get into post.
So the art direction or the set is very minimalistic, I guess. Like obviously, because where he lives in the time. Where did you shoot that? What
Um,
was the location?
Yeah, we rented a home actually here in
Okay.
my hometown of Decatur, which was quasi kind of like a bed, like a B&B kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was a home rental, so it had minimalistic design, but that actually worked out in our favor
Yeah.
because we
100%.
wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this was a new apartment for Seth, and we really wanted to, or Seth, I'm sorry, Jake, the character Jake. It was a new apartment for Jake, and we really wanted to have it pretty much as bare bones as we could possibly get to kind of, and there was a lot of thinking that went into this too. We wanted to reflect where his mental state was throughout the progression of the film. So as you can see, some of the things started to alter as we went through the film, not just the physical things that you see, like clutter, dishes piling up in the sink, things being scratched out on the chalkboard in the kitchen, food rotting in the fridge, things like that, where you can see his mental state starting to decline. But we also made a lot of changes with the coloring of the film and the camera angles. So it's really hard to pick up, but as we're progressing through the psychiatrist scenes, you can see that the camera angle starts to shift where the psychiatrist camera angle's higher, and Jake's character is lower. So we're seeing a power dynamic shift between the psychiatrist and the patient throughout the film, and we do that a lot actually throughout the entirety of the film with different camera angles and coloring.
And then the coloring, speaking of coloring, the end of the film is you kind of go to a green kind of motif, or why green?
Um, Green, just seems like it screams exorcism to me for
Okay.
some reason. So I thought that green was a really good, like a green blue kind of color was a really good place to land at the end of it. Mostly it was just kind of a nod, kind of a throwback nod to some of the old color grading of like some of the old 70s horror films, especially, if you look at The Exorcist and things like that, a lot of those films had a little bit of a green cast to them. So we wanted to just kind of give a little bit of a nod or an honor to some of the films that came before us that landed kind of in that psychological exorcism horror kind of space.
Gotcha. And then so talk to me about post-production, and editing. Who was the editor?
So yeah, a good friend of mine named Tim Lynn did the editing. He's actually a regional Emmy Award winning editor and director of photography. But very first film I ever worked on years ago, I worked with him on. And he's a wonderful editor. He's a wonderful DP. He didn't DP this. Justin Taylor DP'd it, which Justin did an absolutely fantastic job with it. But yeah, Tim Lynn edited it. He did a great job with it. And then once he was done editing, we shifted over to color grade. And Justin Taylor, who was the DP, because he and I had had numerous conversations about the look and the feel of the film, he asked me, he said, I know, normally we may send it off to a different colorist. I'd like to color this because I have a very specific vision in mind that we've discussed. So if you would give it to me and I'd like to color it. So Justin Taylor not only DP'd it, he actually did the color grade on it as well. And I think he did a great job.
Yeah, he did, 100%. I totally agree. So then, and then in terms of sound design, nice sound design as well. Like I said, very minimalistic kind of settings, but at the same time, like you're kind of there is a twist coming up, right? So it's
Yeah.
very subtle, right? So, but you don't want it to be overly haunting, I guess, right? Like you want to have
Yeah.
that tone wise, you wanted to keep it as subtle as possible.
Yeah, so I have a sound designer that I work with here locally. His name's Eric Watkins, and actually he has another person that he works with named Cece Ellis, and they kind of teamed up to work with us on this film. I've worked with him on several projects in the past. He's really good. He's a brilliant composer, so all of the music that's in it is original score by him, which I thought was fantastic. But yeah, our whole goal on this was to kind of follow that creepy descent into the character Jake's madness, as he starts that regression path. Um, and so I wanted everything was, it was almost like a funnel. You're starting really wide with not knowing what the expectation is, and then as you're going through the film, it's funneling you down closer and closer, almost like being like you. I wanted everybody to feel kind of trapped by the end of the film. So that's the reason why we came in closer with the camera. That's the reason why we did the color changes we did. That's the reason why we shaped the music the way that we shaped it. And yeah, I was very, very pleased with how all of it turned out. Oh, and then Thomas Nickel did the sound mix, did the sound on set as well. And he's always my go-to sound guy because there's nothing better for a director on a film set than hiring people that just make their departments kind of quote go away
Yeah,
for it,
no, totally. It
and
sounds like you've got
so
a pretty good team.
yeah, yeah, we have
Yeah.
an excellent group of filmmakers locally here to work with. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And everybody's kind of doing their thing. Every BHP, like I'm sure there's like people doing all their own little projects, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and we all kind of help each other out as much as we can.
And it looks like in the background you got some film, like got some film equipment and lighting equipment.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I we have all of our own. We run all of our own gear. We rent very very little. So I've got
Yeah,
as you can see, I've got a red back there, and then
yeah.
it's our primary camera. I have a secondary camera as well. That's Canon, Canon Cinema, and then I'm the DP that I work with a lot. He's got a couple of cinema cameras. I mean, we're and again we share a lot of equipment amongst ourselves. So I have some lighting equipment and some grip and gaff equipment as well. Mine's minimal. It's more interview kind of stuff, but a lot of the people that I work with have full gear, so we'll trade back and forth a little bit. Hey, can you come and help me? Can I borrow your camera this week? Oh yeah, cool, but I need to borrow your lighting gear, your grip truck the following week, that kind of thing. So we
Gotcha.
do a lot of sharing as well, which is
That's
very
pretty cool.
beneficial because if you outfit completely by yourself, it's very expensive.
I was gonna, yeah, that's pretty cool. And what's
Yeah.
next for you? What are you doing next?
So right now I'm pretty much working just kind of in aggressive writing mode right now. So I've been working on a couple of feature film scripts. I have several feature film scripts that I also have kind of in different stages of development right now. I've got some that are in the middle of being optioned. I was a writer first before I was a filmmaker, so so I have some that are in the process of possibly being optioned. I do have a feature film that I'm working on called The Dark Ones that we're just at the very beginning stages of the funding portion of it, but we're getting ready to shoot a proof of concept for that early next year. And that's looking like it's going to be pretty fun too. It's very, very fast paced. It's basically about a cult gone wrong,
Yeah.
uh, and the entirety of the film all happens in the space of one evening. It's very, very violent, very bloody, and very fast paced. So I'm very much looking forward to getting the opportunity to shoot that hopefully
Well,
next year.
I see. I know what you like. I know what you kind of
Yeah,
like. Yeah. Well, I
yeah.
wish you the ultimate best of success with your film, this film, and the festival circuit. I think it's great. It's really interesting and original, nicely performed, nice cinematography, nice sound design. So on professional level, it's there on all levels. So I hope that it gets what you want from out of it.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the time today.
Thank you.